with Table Talk with the Diva. Why? Join in, it might free up. Hey, hey. And if you feel it, don't come in. The enemy just won't win. But I was giving you vision, and in the end you shall win. Hey, Table Talk with the Diva. Why? Join in, it might free up. Hey, hey. And if you feel it, don't come in. The enemy just won't win. But God has given you vision, and in the end you shall win. Hey.
Well, great evening, and welcome to Table Talk with a Diva. And I am Arthur Pierre Collins, the fabulous and amazing diva that loves life and loves God's people. And so here we are today on the platform. Today it is June the 10th, and so we give God praise for the breath of life. We are excited. I have four amazing men of God, mighty men of valor. I am so excited for the opportunity just to chat with these men. And thank you guys for just saying yes to Table Talk, yes to pouring into another individual, man, woman, boy, girl, whomever this is for. Whoever hears it is supposed to get it, and nevertheless they can catch the replay if they miss this episode. So I want you all right now to please grab your chairs, pull up a seat at the table with the diva, because I have mighty men of valor and they are ready to share and pour into each one of you that are listening. So if you have a brother, a husband, a fiance, a boo thing, a pookie, or any of them in your corner, in your view, tell them to get on, because Table Talk with the Diva is going down, and I have men that are boasting and proud to be fathers or soon to be fathers. We are excited because men is so important, and especially in the season that we're in. Your voices are so valuable. So if nobody had told you, the diva is telling you your voice is valuable. I appreciate you. I have four brothers, and one being my oldest brother who is on the platform, and so I'm truly honored. But men are important. My daddy was an amazing man of God that lived almost 87 years this past April. And so he went home to be with God, but I know real men, not the other men, but I know real men. I know real men that, that is truly who God has called them to be. So we are going to get started, but definitely I'm going to start always. We'll start with an icebreaker. So I tell you what, let's introduce each one of you first. And once we do that, then we will do an icebreaker so I can get into the first name. And everybody's not trying to wonder who is who, but your name is up underneath. So we're good. So first of all, I'm going to start to my right. Mr. Singletary, if you would do the honors and start by introducing yourself and just give a quick little something about who John Singletary is.
Awesome. You made me put me on the hot seat. No, I'm John Singletary. I am the host of the Help Myself podcast. I'm an author. My first book is The Journey from Fear to Abundant Faith. And I'm a 22-year Air Force vet, but most importantly, I am your nephew, LJ's father. He is my heart and my everything. So that's something special about me, is the privilege and honor to be his father.
I love it. All right, Mr. Jordan, we got you.
Awesome. I am so delighted, ignited, and excited not to be in the hot seat first, but to be second to follow up. My name is Jordan Green Ellis. I'm an award-winning inspirational speaker, educational consultant, and author. I teach families how to go to college without student loan debt, because debt doesn't have to be a part of their destiny. And all that's cool and it's important. But most importantly, I am a husband to my beautiful wife, Juanita Green Ellis. And also, I am a man of God as well. I serve the Lord. I'm a minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And that's just a little snippet about me. I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to be amongst great men that I know love the Lord, and amongst an amazing host and author, Miss Collins, who also loves the Lord. I sensed the presence of God when you started praying. I almost got caught up at the beginning. I almost didn't make the show. So I'm just glad to be here and be with you guys. Thank you again.
Oh, I'm so honored. Thank you so much, so much, so much. So thank you for sharing that because I didn't know you were a minister. So my apologies for that. But
It's all good. I'm not one of those types of guys. I
hey,
know you love the Lord.
all right. And Chaston Speaks. Tell them who you are.
Hey, what's up, everybody? To God be the glory. I'm Chaston Burns. I am a man of God, father of two, got one on the way, due in July. So y'all pray for me. I have three boys, so pray for me. But I take it as an honor that God has blessed me with three boys. I know that there's something in the seed and something that has to be regenerated. And so
Hmm.
pray for me, and I thank God for that. I'm a husband to my beautiful wife, Tyra Burns. I'm a life coach. I'm also a character coach. I've been character coach for Fellowship of Christian Athletes for 7 years. And this will actually be my first season back at my home school at Eagles Landing High School, pouring into the football team there. And so I'm just glad to be with you all. Thank you, Miss P, for reaching out. Just excited to see what God is going to say and ignite amongst us.
I love it. I love it. Oh my God, y'all are getting me worked up. I'm not gonna tear up. I'll hold it to the end. All right. Last but not least, my eldest brother, Randy Washington. Introduce yourself, Big Bubba.
Thank you. Thank you. First, let me just express my sincere appreciation for the invite to be on your show. As we talked a couple of days ago, and I said to you that I was really moved and just so proud of you and what you're doing. So thank you. Also, I am honored to be on this platform with three other distinguished like-minded gentlemen and brothers. I am so thankful to see yourselves, men, brothers, that who are standing in the gap and leading the charge for our families. I'm Randolph Washington. I'm the oldest of eight children born to James and Queen Esther Washington. I'm a husband. We'll celebrate, God willing, 41 years with my high school sweetheart,
Awesome.
bride for nearly 41 years. I'm also the father, and that's one of my greatest honors is being a husband and father of two adult children. We have rather a 39-year-old who is serving abroad, and she's not in the military. And we also have a 32-year-old who is serving in the United States Army. I'm also a retired U.S. Army veteran,
Yes.
and was delighted to serve the nation because sometimes people don't think that brothers of color
Mm.
are patriotic and care about our country, but that's not the case. I serve jointly with 7 or 8 other gentlemen as elders of the Schrader Lane Church of Christ, and that's another great honor of mine, serving as a leader and leading God's people. So that's a little snippet about me. And again, I'm just delighted to be here, share, and I hope to learn something from you gentlemen and my sister. Thank you so much.
Awesome, awesome, man. When I tell you, I thought my platform was really created to promote women, and I am a woman advocate. I push women to be their best authentic self. I mean, to live out loud, not just laugh out loud, but live out loud. And so when I said today, you guys have just y'all got me speechless over here, and that doesn't really happen often with me. That doesn't happen, but I am so honored. Oh my God, this is just listening to you all with my opening show. And I do know that my coach is sitting back and he's watching because he said, I will be taking notes, woman of excellence. So he's taking notes, and he said, I'm so proud of the flyer and to see the gentlemen that you have on there all with, beautiful characters and just men of God. And so I am so honored. So we are going to move right along. But again, Table Talk with the Diva. So to my viewers out there, if you didn't catch it in the beginning, I'm going to repeat myself. I'm going to ask you to get Ray Ray and Pookie in front of the camera. I need them to pull up a chair at the table to hear what these fathers are saying. And so I've learned and adopt the a show that not a show. I don't want to call it. Our coach, Jordan and I's our coach. He has an organization called Fathers Not Father. So he said a lot of them are further away. So it's fathers, not further. And so you exemplify fathers. You exemplify fathers, true fathers, men that stand in the gap. And brother, when you said that just now, Randy, about standing in the gap, really quickly, I had an interview today, and God is so good. He's so faithful. And 28 years ago, I have a very colorful past known as the girl of dysfunction. That was who I was. And so no shame at all, because I'm proud to be who I am, because I couldn't have be who I am today if I had not walked through what I walked through. So long story short, but that was a song. That was the title of the song. I really quick had a car accident, and I thought it was about the car accident, went into a little depression thing, and I'm calling on my parents, and they're coming, and I said, Dad, I don't know what's going on. I'm losing my mind. He said, baby, stop speaking it. You're not losing your mind. And so parents came, they jumped in and just walking through it with me. But there was a tape in the car, second car that I bought, and I share with my brother a little bit about it. But today was that interview. So when I said I am still on a high of God's grace, his amazing grace, because I sat there, and of course they'll air it on the 28th. I just got the date. They let me know today it will be on the air on the 28th of this month. But that was the song. And so when you said that, I'm like, Lord, there it go again. But stay the gap. When you said that, Randy, that was a song that ministered to me. I went from dysfunction, from a Christian home, upbringing. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Thank you, please. Or you gonna be knocked in the floor by my mama. She just didn't play the radio. And so I came from that to wanting to just have this alter ego, just be somebody else that I didn't even know. But came her, wind up in the strip club, from the strip club to doing a number of things, and went through it. But in order to be the diva with the destiny, I had to walk that for whatever reasons, for whoever it was for. And so there was a cassette left in this particular car that I bought. And when I bought the car, the tape was in there, and the song that ministered to me. And at the time, I'm 21, 22. I didn't know what was happening. I just said, okay, Lord, I'm broken. I gave him everything back. It's like, okay, I've messed up. I don't know what's happening. And so that song, Standing in the Gap, is what I had going on today. So when I tell you, you said something, I don't know why I was led to share it, but for a woman of God, whoever's out there that's listening, whatever mistakes that you've made, it is okay. There's nothing you can do that will prevent God from loving you. Just know that. So we're going to move forward. Now we've been introduced, but standing in the gap is really, really dear to my heart. But I have men on here that are going to share. They're all fathers, I think. Am I correct? Father?
I'm not a natural father. No, I'm not a natural father.
You're a dad. You're a dad because you're educated, and I know you have your hands full. Bless your heart. So definitely you are a father. But gentlemen, we're going to start again with the icebreaker. So the icebreaker, I'm going to give each one of you a word. And of course, my word is resilient. You all see that. That's who I am. That's what God has put inside of me. So resilient. So we're going to I'm going to see if I can come up with all R's, if I can. Reality. Chaston.
I give you one word, right?
You could give me one, and you might could give me two if you got it.
A reality choice.
Choice. I love it. Choice. Okay. Randy. Reputation.
Live.
Let's live. Okay. Live. I can deal with it. All right. John Singletary. Realistic.
Realistic. Authentic.
Come on, my word. You already knew that. And Jordan. I know Jordan's gonna come for me. Educator. I'm gonna say, let's see. Give me an R. Regal.
My initial thought was give me a word that I know. So if that is sufficient, give me a word that I know for regal.
Regal. Well, I'll say raw. I'll give
Raw.
RAW. Raw.
The first word that came to mind was real.
Okay, that'll
Real.
work. That'll work. Because my main three R's, my hashtags are regal, relevant, and resilient.
Mm.
That because I figured John would probably know and definitely you. So I said, well, I won't do that. Well, okay, guys. Well, you were ready for me. So that's what I like. I like a man that's always ready at the drop of a dime. And you guys gave me that. So I appreciate that. So we are going to move right along now that we know who you are, a little bit of who you are and your purpose for what you do. And so let's talk really quick. Definitely, there's always a stigma that real men don't cry. So we want to talk a little bit about that and just being a father. So as a father, do you agree or disagree? My apologies. Real everybody that knows me, I am on live on Table Talk. Why are you calling me? But anyway, real men cry. What do you think? What's your take on that? Each one of you.
Ain't nobody in this room gonna disagree with that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well. One of the things you said, one of the words that you presented, I believe one was reality. Was it?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Well, if you are a father and you're living life, you're alive, you will cry, whether you admit it or not, because there are sometimes you will, as a father or a parent or a husband, you're going to shed tears of joy,
Yes.
and you're going to shed tears of sorrow. You're gonna shed tears when you see your child achieve when everybody else was telling them they would not achieve, and you've been pumping and pouring into them to convince them of their innate greatness. And when you see them achieve, that's going to bring tears to your eyes. I believe it's Jordan who said that. Did you say you didn't have children?
Not natural, no.
Yeah, but there is some youngster who is looking at you, and you are that surrogate parent,
Yeah.
father to them. I guarantee you, even those guys at times will bring tears to your eyes, or when they do things that is totally against everything you've been trying to teach and instill, and they break your heart.
Yeah.
You will cry. So that's my reality. That's life, and that's what we live.
Okay. So we agree. So everybody agrees.
Man.
Okay. Okay. Just
Hmm.
hear that. It's like, oh, real men don't cry. And I've heard, Lord, that's going to be one of my questions because he said, suck it up and shut up with all that crying. You ain't no woman. You ain't a little girl. Stop doing that. And I just looked at him and was like, dude, you need to get your life all the way together. Because the baby had to have been about 6 years old. And I don't know what he was crying about, but it didn't matter. But just the fact that, he really believed that. And he's telling him, shut your mouth. Stop crying. You're not a girl. It's like, okay. But anyway, so I said that was something, and it bothered me to the degree. So I said, Lord, that's something I'm going to ask every man on the platform the month of June. Do you believe that real men cry? Yes, he's a little boy, but he's letting him know you can't be a real man or grow up to be a man because you saw him crying and whatever he's crying about. But it just kind of it was a little disturbing. So, what are some things and some values that you like to share with the men? Because I don't just want to ask questions. I like conversation. So I don't like to really call it an interview. I just say it's a conversation. So I may say something, or you're going to say something that'll lead me to ask you something else. I don't sit down and write down 10 questions and just ask and you just wait. I like the engagement. I want conversation. I want you to be able to deposit, something that you're led as a man of God, just a man, that has some experience in these areas that could really, really bless someone's life. And so that's why I believe that you're here. So, Justin, as a father of soon to be three, what are things that you've learned in your journey thus far?
Well, I just piggyback on when you were talking about real men. One of the first things that came to mind, I remember when God was doing my life like this. He was turning me, and in the turn, He had to break me. And I realized that one of the indications that he was breaking me was I had to cry. And it was a cry of, it was joy, but it was a cry of God was pulling me out of the darkness. He was pulling me out of misunderstanding. He was pulling me out of confusion and bringing me into light. And so I realized that crying as a man, even before I was a father, growing up, I never seen my father really cry. But making the decision to go after God and allowing him to lead me and totally putting my life in his hands, that was one of the first things he did. And I just remember when I began to cry, how I just looked up and said, God, as a man, I was just like, you the only man that can make me feel like this, And I always replay that moment when I was crying and crying out to God, because he was cleaning me out. And so I understand now that when you ask that question, that crying, every man is going to have to come to a place where you cry, because that's where God begins to bring you into purpose. And when he begins to align you, it's going to bring you to a place of humility and bowing down to him, to where you just going to have to yield. If you really want God to take you where he's been showing you can go and where you desire to be, there are going to be some times you're going to cry, because you're going to go into a season or a wilderness where you're not going to understand anything. You're just going to have to totally trust on God and call on him. And in the midst of that calling, you just got to cry.
Yeah, I love that. I wanted to just jump in really quickly and share the same sentiment of what crying really is and how it's significant to the man, right? The Bible talks about the strong man being the head of the household. And as the strong man, knowing your responsibility in the spirit and in the natural, what you're responsible for, that's what it means to be the head of the household, not a dictator, not a misogynist, you do what I say. It means that you're responsible for what happens in your house. And for you to be responsible, you have to know your role, priest. You have to know your role, prophet. You have to know your role, protector. You have to know your role, pastor, right, of your household first, because that's your first ministry. And what that requires before you even understand all of that is a yield, is a yes, is a willing heart. And what that means, right, because we speak churchanese, right? We've been in church for a long time and we know what it means. I say yes to the Lord, right? But what it means is you're saying no to what you want.
That's right.
And when you say no to what you want, that may cause you to cry because you can't have what you want. You have to yield. You have to give your yes, and that will bring you down to your knees, because you can't live a life that's self-serving. That's not the way that God calls us to live. I know that we have like this modern day Christianity where it's like we can just pray and snap our fingers and things just happen. No, God has a plan. And if you want to be safe, my suggestion, my admonishment is to you to yield to that plan. But it requires you to give up your yes. It requires you to give your yes and give up the things that you so desire. Not to say that God won't give you what you desire, but he's going to give you desires that are pleasing to him, if that makes sense. Not that he will give us every single thing that he wants. He's going to give us new desires that are pleasing to him. And that's going to be what fulfills us in our hearts. And it will cause you to say yes. If you understand that you're responsible for everything that goes on in your house and your kids acting up, and you and your wife not on the same page, God's going to look at you. He's looking at you first. And that may cause you to cry. Look at Job, that righteous suffering. Job was a righteous man. Perfect, the Bible says. Not flawless, but in the eyes of God. And so when you're living a life that's pleasing to God, you're subject to any temptation. You're subject to the test. You're subject to what God will have for you. And so that will cause you to cry. And I think that you're doing yourself a disservice to think that you can handle it on your own and you can just be a tough guy. No such thing. No such thing.
Wow. Powerful. Okay, y'all on fire. Y'all got my platform is smoking over here. Oh my God. Somebody get extinguisher. Come on now. I'm telling you, get your brothers and the husband on the platform. Get them on the line. Get them up. Pull them up. Well, all right, John Singletary. I need to hear from you on that.
Yeah, man, I don't know. They didn't cover it all.
Oh my God.
So we talked about the crying and just fatherhood, and the one of the things about fatherhood, Brother Jordan was talking about, you got to say no to yourself and say yes to God, man. It's that man, it's grind and hustle. Like, I think on the outside, people see the results of the work and, oh, you a good father, you did this, you did that. But no, as a father, that's the outside stuff, but you got to do the inside work, the day to day, the me and my son, we got to have a prayer life, a devotion life, a worship life. We got to have our disciplines. Every day ain't what they see in the pictures when we smile. And some days it's like, Lord, help me not choke this child, but it's real. And you've got to, when LJ was first born and everybody was making all the fuss, I remember my uncle telling me, hey, you are going to become a forgotten commodity because everybody is going to be worried about the mother and the child, and you're going to have to learn how to deal with that and still stand and do what you're supposed to do. And I heard him, but I didn't hear him. And I'll tell anybody, it's real. I mean, I chose to be a father. I wanted a son, and I can only imagine for people that are in situations where they didn't expect it. But either way, you got to stand up and do the work.
Got it. I love it. Wow, I love it. Oh man, y'all got my wig a little twisted over here. I'm doing wait now. Y'all were covering everything. I am loving this. Oh my God. And I've never had a platform with just all men. All my platforms are always building women. So this is like so refreshing. Ladies, I love you, but I'm just saying the brothers is coming for me. They're coming for y'all. Y'all better be ready. Oh my Lord. This is so good. So good. But I appreciate you guys being authentic. And definitely. Oh my goodness. My apologies. I don't know. They forgot it's Thursday. And they not on Table Talk because if they paying attention, they would know where I am.
You're in high commodity. People are trying to do things.
Bless God be all the glory. Hey. Oh my Lord. Oh my Lord. And I know they're trying to figure out, oh girl, how did it go? It went well. God was pleased. He was pleased. But back to the show at Table Talk here. So Randy, you've been a father, like I think the longest, 40. Well, no, Dominique is 39.
Yes.
So it's almost 40 years. Man, is there anything, and I only say that, because I know those are my nieces and my nephew also, like LJ, but is there something that you wish you could have done differently at any point in the journey and fatherhood?
As I reflect and look back, there were always, I think, things that we would say, if I could do this differently, I would do this differently. And Stephanie and I often have those kinds of conversations. And one of the things that I'm thankful that she reminds me of this. She says something like this. She says, well, if anything was different, we wouldn't be or have the results we have now. So it's always difficult to say what I would do differently. I do know this, and I think our children know this, and I think it is important for parents to recognize this, that our children know that we're not perfect. But what they do expect, their expectations of us is to love them unconditionally, to give them barriers and hold them accountable, and they expect us to be the adults in the room. And I think on all of those fronts, we have done that. Someone mentioned earlier about being the priest, the spiritual leader. I also often say and to our children and of them, if they don't go to heaven, it's not because of my fault or their mother's, because I know without question, we've taught them, they have seen us modeled the right kinds of things before them. So that's kind of where I am. But I think because I want perfection, I often ask, what would I do differently? And the truth, honestly, I don't know. I really don't know. We have conversations with them collectively and individually, and I will say to them, tell me, what do you think about your childhood growing up? And sometimes they say, "Oh, Dad, you were strict. We were always on lockdown." I said, "Yeah, you know why you were on lockdown? Because I didn't want what's happening to some of our young brothers to happen to you all. It was simply because I loved you, and I just didn't want that to be your fate." Sometimes they will say to us, "Mom, Dad, I'm thankful that you were our parents." And when I hear that, that makes the difference.
Oh,
But so anyway, that's a long answer to a short question.
I agree. I agree because even with your nieces at times, and just I know it hadn't been a month, LaVasia called and something was going on in Statesboro. And she said, "Mom, oh my God." Well, Mommy. She said, "Mommy, I saw, oh my God, you were something else." She said, "But oh my Lord." She said, she saw something happen with a friend and their family. And the girl, that couldn't have been my mama because, honey, my eye would have been twitching. I said, I'm glad I told her. I said, because you two you're adults, you're young adults, you're grown women, and we raised you the best of our ability, gave them everything. But back then they didn't see that they had pretty much everything. But what she says now, she said, "Oh my God, I know what it was. Someone was graduating, and none of the parents was like coming in town to celebrate." And LaVasia's like, "I just don't." She said, "I couldn't relate to that." She said, "I told them, honey, my mom and daddy had a weekend, and you came, so you know. So it was Friday night, it was Saturday, and then we did brunch before everybody family left town. And so this was high school. And when she graduated to 4 years, her dad said, okay, this is it. Well, now we're getting ready for LaVasia's coming through her master's program next year. And I'm just thinking," I said, "Well, something small." He said, "Pierre, I don't want to hear it." He said, "LaVasia and them are grown. You got to let them." I am letting them, but I want to show them that we are proud. He said, "Well, we've done that. You stop." He told us, and God is my witness, my husband said, "No more birthday parties after 13 years of age." Birthday, dinner, brunch, whatever she always had, they had a party until LaVasia was 18 years old. He said, "This is ridiculous because I asked you not to do this no more, but you want to celebrate them." And so I do that. So anyway, they would always say, they thought, they didn't realize how blessed they were. And in our neighborhood, our house was considered the Kool-Aid house. The kids would call it Eagles Landing the Kool-Aid house because Miss P don't play the radio. I said, but I invite them there because I wanted to know what they were doing. I wanted to know what was going on. I didn't want to be the parents. LaVasia Shy could not go and spend the night and leave school on Friday and get in somebody's car. I get on the bus and go, and I don't see my child till Sunday. I'm like, girl, that will never happen. Right. Never happen. You leave home, you come back home. And so the way that we were raised, Randy and my mom and my dad, we couldn't spend the night out. As a teenage girl, I never could spend the night out. A little girl, period. My mom was like, "Girl, it's not proper for girls to sleep away from home," because she said, "I can't protect you if you're in somebody else's house and then men not like you are living in those homes. And so I can't rest at night to know that my children are not safe, in somebody else's house, and maybe there's a man that is forcing himself on her or whatever. And then because I'm just being nice." So my mom always has boundaries. You have to have boundaries. And so I told LaVasia, even today, there is no age that you will ever be that you have the okay to disrespect me. And their mama is legally blind, and LaVasia and the Shy already know. I told them, I'm from the hood, so don't get me bent. I will forget that I birthed you if you come at me that way. So my girls already know. I love them and I got them and everything. But when you are wrong, I'm going to check you. When you're right, I'm going to applaud you. So we got boundaries over here. But how other folks live, that's them. But definitely, so if I could change it, a few, because I have a lot of tendencies like my mom. I have pretty much most of my mother's characteristics. And so sometimes I have to catch myself because I say, Lord, I'm acting like my mama. And I know times are different, but not to abuse, but just I'll handle it sometime a little bit different. And I will go back. And my mom would always say, I'm never too big to apologize. So do you apologize? So that will lead me, because a lot of times, that's to say, our conversation will lead to something, but apologizing to your children or to your student and whatever. Jordan, what do you think about apology?
I'm glad you let me go first because I don't have natural children, but like how you mentioned before, I have worked in education for I won't say a long time, but a good amount of time, and I've become what they call me to be a second dad. So I have students who call me second dad.
Awesome.
And yes, I definitely apologize. I make that very, very clear. I don't believe that. Okay, I'll put it like this. Let me back up and say, it is my goal to always adhere to what the Spirit of God is doing in my life. And so me being in education, how I got to it was not my first option, wasn't my plan. And so me being there, just trying to be vigilant and understand what God is doing in my life. I know that I'm there not just to be a teacher. And it was apparent just being in the classroom. My classroom became like a safe haven for many, many students. And I started teaching in 2015. I still keep in contact with my first group of juniors, my first group of seniors. I taught high school. They call me second dad. And I believe that, like I said, I was intentional about not in the natural. I believe that I'm like a spiritual father to them. No, I'm not a pastor at this point in my life. No, I'm not technically a shepherd, but I do cover them in prayer. I do make sure that when they have questions regarding the scriptures or about their life and they need wise counsel, I serve in that role for them, and I take it serious because I know that I may be at this point the only not option, but an opportunity for them to be introduced to Christ in a different way. And so I think apology is necessary. I make that very, very clear because just coming from, I mean, we all look the same. We, a lot of times in our communities, right? That's not a real thing, right? There's this running joke that's going on social media. It's like, this how Black parents apologize. They ask you after they get on you, they ask you, are you hungry? do you want to go to McDonald's? Right? Like, that's not a real apology. That's not real. And I'm not knocking anybody that's done that. Of course, we've all missed the mark every once in a while, but I think that it's extremely vital. It's extremely vital to be intentional about confessing your faults. First of all, it's biblical. Don't skip over that one. Don't skip over that one. Right? Confessing your faults, even correct me. I know the preachers are on here, not provoking your child to anger. Right? You can't just flex like that. And I think that it builds up your child or builds up your mentee or your second or your surrogate children. In my case, it builds them up in such a way to where they will come to you willingly broken so that you can help mold them back together. So apologizing is absolutely unequivocally. Let me tap the mic. Make sure y'all hear me. I said absolutely unequivocally necessary. And I'm done talking.
See that. That's good. That's good. Yeah. So, John, your take on that, and one thing about with John, LJ, my nephew is artistic. He is such a handsome and a smart young man, and full of life. So I don't know how you have to explain.
You're kind of going in and out, but I'm gonna jump in anyway. What he said, or is it that way? but no, absolutely. I apologize all the time. Relationship. I'm not in the business of a dictatorship. Me and my son, we have a relationship, and although I'm a father, I have a responsibility, and that responsibility isn't to lord over him, but is to help him discover the gift that's been put inside of him. It says, teach a child up in the way in which it should go. But when you break that down, what it's saying is that they come packaged with gifts, with a personality, with everything that God put in them. So our job is to help them to discover what's already working within them. It's not to create or mold them in the way we see fit, because God already knew what he was doing when he blessed us with them. So apologize. Absolutely.
That's good.
Recognizing the way that I was raised, my mom, my grandmother, and the women in my life, there wasn't a lot of strong males in my, in my life, but they did the best they knew how to do. And so you honor that and you respect that. But as you get more knowledge and more information, you recognize that just because mama did it or big mama did it doesn't mean that it was right. And so apologizing is necessary, having conversations. Why do we do this? Why do I want you to do this? Why do I not want you to act like this in public, so forth and so on? We have conversations about it. And, I look for understanding in that. And like you said, he's autistic, he's nonverbal, but he gets it. And, that we can have that connection. And a major part of that connection is the language of apology, that I was wrong and I recognize that and I acknowledge it to you and I come to you and I ask you to help me bridge this gap that I created because I was wrong. So definitely apologize.
That's so good.
Excellent. Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Chaston that always speaks. What's up? Because you have little ones, but they're absorbing like sponges. So I know you have something for that.
Yeah, I was just thinking that was one thing God was had already been dealing with me in my marriage about when I am wrong to make sure that I do apologize. And I feel like that if we had more, if we saw that in more men within our home, a lot of men wouldn't be so prideful. And we understand that the Bible says that God exalts the humble, but he opposes the proud. And so I feel like when we come to that place where we can lower ourselves and apologize, and it's just something in my mind, though my sons are just 3 and 2, I want them to see me when I am wrong, that I can humble myself and go to my wife or whomever I hurt and apologize to them, because it shows them that the best way to go is the humble route. Because after a while, God is going to exalt you. And so I feel like if we have more of that in the home, it'll destroy that pride thing that a lot of men have going on. And just to be real, that's why a lot of men, the marriages don't work and the chemistry is not in the home, because they're very prideful and will never apologize to their wife. But I feel like that's something that God does in order to grow you to be that father, to be that unique husband. You have to be able to apologize and humble yourself so that God can exalt you.
Yes.
Excellent.
Well said. Yes.
Absolutely. 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 Y'all are something else. Oh, wow. I don't know, but when I got some men coming next week, I tell you, my God, I am just like so excited about this selection of the quality of, oh my God, because for me it's never about quantity, it's always about quality. I don't care what I'm doing, I want it to be the best, and so I push excellence. Yes, I still miss the mark, I make mistakes, I don't always get it right, but the thing about me is I keep pushing because I expect and I try to deliver with excellence. And you guys, if this, and I'm just serious, I am like really really overjoyed. I can't wait. And when the show ends, I go back and I sit for like an hour and I kind of sob and watch and listen to it because I hear it, but I can't get it all until I can go back and just watch it. So you are really, all for you, really, really blessing me this evening. So my hat's off to you. So as we're going to be coming a little to the close, I want to each one of you to maybe give, you can say something, a tip, a nugget, whatever you want to call it, that you could leave with a father that might be struggling with, I don't want to, because I don't like to say bad. I don't believe in bad. I always, even my godson is soon to be 9 and he's busy. So I try to say busy and not bad. I not try not to speak something into his life because the enemy is always listening. So that may be challenging, having a challenging time with their sons, even their daughters, because it gets a little rocky when they get to be a teenager because they're crazy always about daddy, but then when they become a teenager, it's like that kind of thing, and then it kind of comes back around by the time they get in their early 20s is what we've experienced. And so maybe you can leave a nugget for, and I just as a parent, not even just the man, but definitely this is about men. So I'll say a father that may be having some challenges with their son, something that you can leave to kind of keep him hopeful, because if we don't have hope, we have nothing at all. So it's important to be hopeful and to have something to look forward to. And so they might be in a dark place right now. And I would just ask that you maybe share something with them before we bring this evening to a close, because you guys have really done it. And I am so elated that you're on the platform. So, John.
Put me on the spot first
Yeah.
again. I see what you're
Again.
doing. I see you. I see you.
Yeah.
I'm ready this time. I'm ready this time. I would definitely say to fathers that, um, I mean, let's just be honest. Fatherhood isn't easy, and don't expect it to be. But to fathers that are feeling that challenge, I think we all do. So let me not say that like, oh, some of us got it, and then the others, we all we all feel it. It's a day to day grind. But I would say to walk in the authenticity of masculine energy and your purpose. It's powerful. Sometimes we try to portray what manhood looks like, but just be. The power of. So we used to go and volunteer at a middle school, and I went with a buddy of mine, and it was a lot of guys from the Air Force Base, but they recognized me because I was a black man that came in there, and that kind of resonated with them. But they were a little unruly, but we didn't go in there like, hey, I'm gonna smack you down. I'm in the military, some order. I just kind of vibed with them, gave them opportunities to just talk about what they wanted to talk about. Whenever they had questions or whatever, I would just let them come up to me and we would have sincere talk. And I just carried myself in a certain way. And we did that for about 3 or 4 weeks. And the administrator started talking about how the behavior of these young men started to change. And I didn't come in there like a drill sergeant, hup, troop, I didn't do none of that. I just came in and I was just my authentic self. And I just rested in my natural masculinity, my natural malehood, my purpose, my authentic care for these young men. And it impacted that. And we need to do that in our homes as fathers. Just be your authentic self, show up, be present, be available, and not just physically, but be emotionally available, be spiritually available, be honest. And it'll be amazing to any father to see how powerful that is, not just for your children, but for the woman you are blessed to be with and have. I think I'm the only single dude here, so y'all pray for me, man, because man, I don't like this single stuff. It's for the birds. Y'all pray for me, man. But in all aspects of life, but it will definitely touch your children. So I would just say, man, rest in your masculine energy, your purpose, and your authenticity.
Love it. Help Myself podcast. There you have it. That is Mr. John Singletary, the producer and host of the Help Myself podcast. So he's coming for you, and I'll be sharing some of his information as well. And also, John, give your social media for me.
Well, we'll make it even easier. You can just go to www.thehelpmyselfpodcast.com. One-stop shop, all my social links to the book, everything right there.
Right there. There we have it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Which is something I didn't do today. So I already know Coach is gonna get me. I forgot, and they rushed me at the end. I was like, oh.
And the Fabulous Diva is gonna be on the show later on this season too. So y'all be looking out for that.
I won't be ready. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you. All right, Randolph Washington, my eldest brother.
Yes, say that. Would you repeat that question? I was so enthralled in what John was sharing. I just got swept away.
He has that appeal. Paul got that because I'm just like so excited. I can't wait to go back and listen. The question, well, not a question. What I would like you to do is leave a nugget, some encouragement for a father that may be going through. It could be his son, his daughter, all children, whatever he's going through. Just as far as like.
Yeah, I think that number one, children we are gifted. God has gifted them to us, and they're really only with us for a very brief season. Now think about this. By the time a child is 9 years old, in most cases, they have lived with us half of their growing up years, right? So the next 9 and that 9 more years, they're going to go off to college or work or military or somewhere, right? So it is vitally important, at least from my perspective, having 2 adult children, for fathers, for parents to just simply model the right things before their children. Children do more, I believe, of what they see in us than what we speak to them. And no matter what the media or whomever says about the influence of peer pressure is real. But I think when parents are modeling the right things before their children are going to do okay. Now there are exceptions in every situation, but I think overall they will do the right thing and they will do okay. Just think about this proverb: train up the child in the way they should go, and when they are old, they will not depart. Does it mean that they won't stray? Does it mean they won't do crazy things like we have all done? But what it means is, if we're instilling the right things in them, we will get the right results long term.
I
I love
receive.
it.
That is the truth, because I'm an example, prime example of that, straying, but I could not, get away from what I knew, what was already deposited into me. So sometimes we have to go through in order to get to. So I always say, let's grow through it. Don't just go through,
Yeah.
but grow through it. Come out different, come out better, not bitter but better. So I totally agree, and that's the word of God. So definitely, thank you so much for that. Um, and I don't know, someone may have a question for you, Randy. I know you're not a big social media person, so I don't know if you have something you'd like to share, an email or anything like that, but you have a Facebook page. So if there's a question for Randy Washington, you can DM him, I'm sure, and then that way he can possibly answer the question and get back with you, or you can reach out to me on this platform or one of my other platforms, and I can relay the message if need be. So thank you so much, Randy, for that. I appreciate you as well. All right, Chaston Speaks. Give me something, man of God.
Oh yeah, I would just say, just pray for wisdom. Let God give you wisdom. The Bible says wisdom is the principal thing,
Yeah.
because you never know the gifts that God gives you as children. I look at my dad; he raised us very well, but he never knew that he had a prophet and a minister within his home, and so he did the best he could. But we have to pray for wisdom, especially in these times that we're raising up our kids. I mean, I was just with my sons on Monday. I'm off on Mondays, and I have them with me, and just looking on television and seeing how perverted the world is and how they're trying to pervert our young men. When you see all type of commercials that represent same-sex marriage and different things that are going on that we are against as believers of Christ. And so, pray for that wisdom and let God really direct you and give you that knowledge you need to raise the kids that he's giving you, because you may have things that you adapted from your family or how they raised you, but it may not be the necessary tools that you need to raise your seed and your children, because you never know who God has blessed you with. So I would just leave that to every
That's
man.
so good.
Pray for wisdom.
That is awesome. You said something because, and my brother can attest, my mom was different. And so she would say, when she's getting on to us, don't do as I do, do as I say.
Yeah.
And I was that girl that had a question. So I got slapped around quite often because I'm just like, well, mama, that don't make sense. And I get backhand slapped, but I'm still over there like thinking like, but it don't make sense. What you say? Nothing. But I mean, why you say? I always that was me. So it's like I eventually I got the understanding like either you want to go to school with a swole face and your lip little puffy and my eye was twitching. I mean, and I had a best friend that would always come and would see me and he know I done got slapped around before I got to school. And he was like 6'9", whatever to your face. I'm like, boy, and so I wasn't as nice. But he already knew when I came, but it's like my mom was that mother. She would tell you in a minute, don't do as I do, do as I say. And so my dad would get on her and he said, Esther, you're wrong. You can't do that. And she said, well, and then she would eventually come around it. And she said, well, you're right. She said, but, before I knew it, I said it. And he said, yeah, but you need practice. And he would say, practice make perfect. And so, well, you can't do that. And she was raised differently from my dad. And so a lot of things that she was displaying for us is all that she knew. And so with my dad balancing out, it's like, Esther, uh-uh. you can't do it like that, or don't do it that way, or that's enough. And so he was always the one that had to intercept, because my mom was more of the disciplinarian in our home. My dad, he would do it when he needed to do it, but for the most part, he gave my mom the leadway to that. So whatever your mom says, daddy enforces it. If daddy enforces it and you don't abide, then you already know how it's going to be. But so that's how it was in our house. And as they got older and began to seek God for more wisdom, then things got better and better. So of course, when we started having children, I would say to her, I said, "Oh, you got soft," and she said, "Well, when you learn better, when you know better, you do better." She said, "I didn't know, I thought I was doing the best, so I thought, and what she was doing the best that she knew, but she was just saying that's all that I knew, so I couldn't give you anything that I didn't know. I only could give you what I knew." And so, I appreciate it so much. But when you said that, that made me think about that little saying my mom would always say. Exactly. So, Mr. Green, what we talking? What we talking? Give them some nuggets. I know you got a few.
Definitely. I wanted to say first, man, that I'm really honored to be amongst such wise men. Like I've learned to close my mouth when I'm in the presence of wisdom. And I just want to say that I've gleaned so much not having any biological children of my own. And I want to thank you guys. First of all, there are a couple of things that came to my heart. The first is I wanted to share a personal experience. I graduated from college in 2015, and I had a friend who had children towards the end of our college experience. And he shared a story with me that when his daughter was born, he began to write in a notebook different experiences and things that he was going through for his daughter when she got older, and he was going to gift it to her. And I loved that idea. So I adopted the same principle. And I don't have any biological children, but I've been writing letters to them and my godchildren for 5+ years now, being extremely transparent of my low moments. And I think I shared this at my wedding, but my plan is to give this to them on their 18th birthday. I want to have multiple children, and they just pass it along. Because of this reason, I just saw your message in the chat, John. Because of this reason, I think that a lot of times when there's discord between fathers and their children is because there is no understanding.
Absolutely.
Now, I know for a fact that there will be moments in which a child will just not understand, right? But my admonishment to you is to take the first step. Is to take the first step and be transparent and humble yourself, like what was said earlier. That scripture about how God exalts the humble, like when you listen to a good preacher, they make it sound good, right? The Holy Spirit jump right in you, right? But don't let it make you feel good and not change your heart as to what that scripture is really saying. What it's saying is that exaltation, or you going to the next level with your family, is synonymous or the same as you being humble. It's on the same level. And on the opposite end of that, hear what I'm telling you. Don't miss this, y'all. Is that when you are prideful, and when you're full of pride, God rejects you. It means he pushes you away. It means he pushes you back into that mess. He pushes you back into your will. He pushes you back into that thing that you're trying to get out of. And so if you want to I know you don't like it. I know that it's hard to hear, right? But God is bound to nothing but his word.
That's right.
And so if you desire to get out of that situation, if you desire to live the abundant life that Jesus has promised you, right? Because that abundant life is not in heaven, it's on earth. That's eternal life in heaven. The abundant life is when you're breathing oxygen and when you're walking around on your front lawn. That's a promise. And again, like how I said, that God is bound to nothing but his word, right? And so if you desire, my admonishment to you is to take the first step. Bible says again, in all thy getting, get understanding. I'm sure of it. I'm almost 100% sure of it that your children just don't understand. So help them understand. I know that it requires a lot of humility for you to say, hey, I probably didn't handle the situation as well as I could have. But what that's going to do is that's going to rip the stumbling block from your child's life, and they won't walk the same way. and again, I hesitate to speak so strongly because I don't have any biological children of my own, but you can see the heads of the wise men on here nodding in agreement. So if you don't want to believe me, just believe them. Okay. So again, just in short, do your due diligence and take the first step, and God will honor your sacrifice. He wouldn't be God if he doesn't. Okay. He exalts, he lifts up, he moves forward, he takes to the next level. The one who is willingly humble. So humble yourself. And I love you. In Jesus' name.
Man, you guys have been on fire. I am telling you, I have enjoyed this thoroughly. Oh my God. This is season 4 for me. I am only doing this because God has given me a mandate to do so. I would have never thought to do this on my own. I'm not that smart. I would never. So when I say that this is blessing me beyond words, I am serious and I am sincere with what I'm saying. You guys are blessing me. I'm not a dad. I'm a mom, but I have gained so much nuggets from you and information. And Jordan, never mind that you're not a biological father. You are definitely a father.
Thank you.
I say that with the most utmost respect. I appreciate you, Randy, Chaston, and John. You guys have just made me proud to say I got the platform at Table Talk, and this is awesome. Woo! So now you have got, honestly, y'all caused me to really rethink now. So like I said, the platform was to promote women. I will still do that. But I'm going to have some men on more often, and not just a month of uh, joyful June, not just for Father's Day, because, like I said, your words matter. It is valued, and so I'm sure your wives tell you. I'm telling you, and I hope that you hear it often, more than none, that your words matter. So, like the Black Lives Matter, that is great, but fathers, y'all make all the difference. Wow, I am so grateful. So now I'm going to have to rethink and pray and ask God for direction on how to do this, because definitely I've got to have some more men on, because y'all coming and pulling out the stops. Y'all just done did the thing for me. I am so excited. But we are going to bring this segment to a close. I am so grateful, so honored. I pray I didn't keep you all too long, but it was so good and I didn't want to interrupt anybody. And this has just been a blessing for me. I wanted to be a blessing to the people. So I pray that you guys were blessed. My viewers, I pray that you will go to YouTube at Destiny Sisters, or you can pull me up at Arthur Pierre Collins on YouTube. So I'm still building that. But nevertheless, whoever this is for, I believe that it fell on good ground wherever it was supposed to go. So I am honored. Thank you so much. And we will be back on next Wednesday. So you guys have an awesome evening. And I love you with all of God's blessings. And I speak peace and blessings upon you, your family, and everything that your hands touch. Consider it blessed. So I love you. I am here, Collins, the eagle with an destiny, and I am always chasing after you. If this purpose she's pushing, you tuned in with Table Talk with the Diva. Why? Joining it might free up. Hey, hey. And if you feel it, don't come in. The enemy shall go in. That's my niece that sings my jingle. She bad, but God has given you vision, and in the end you shall win. Table Talk with the Diva. Good night, guys. Have a blessed evening. Thank you so much. Thank you. Joining it might free up. Hey, hey. And if you feel it, don't come in. The enemy shall go in. But God has given you vision, and in the end you shall win.